everyone, it's Shell from Shawl Crochet. Welcome to my October 2025 crochet podcast. Let's talk about some finished objects. Hey everyone, it's Shell. How are you today? I hope you're all doing well. Happy Halloween and go Jays go! You're going to hear more about the Blue Jays in the clips throughout this video. And speaking of which, let's go back to the very beginning. Hey everyone, today is Thursday, October the 2nd, and we have a finished object or a refinished object. I had one square left from those grannies I was putting together into cat hats, and it had this burgundy sparkle on it, but I didn't have any more. And then I had remnants of that Premier anti-pilling, and this is part of one of those Dollarama cakes we were talking about the last time. So I made another square, mostly a solid granny, holding those two together because I thought it really complemented the front side nicely. It's also extra warm now because this is held double, and I just kind of made it work. I worked off size rather than stitch count. And I have single crocheted together there all the way around. Gave it a little extra length at the bottom and put that little finishing stitch I've been liking lately. Either I'm doing single with one double, stretch it across and keep going, or I've also been liking two singles with a double in the middle for adding texture. Speaking of which, I actually added about another 1.5 inches all the way around that quarter to quarter blanket just to give it something extra. I found a skein of marled yarn that I just wanted to use up. So here is a picture. It'll actually probably be gone by the October podcast. So here's a picture of that blanket. And I'm about to go sort out all of my cozy stuff for charity and recount everything. Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, October the 6th. I have a finished object for you. We have another scrappy shallow shawl, very, very scrappy. And here she is. So basically with this one, I was just using up tiny scraps in the beginning and I didn't really know where it was gonna go. The first one is the Dollarama yarn at the very top. And then there's some sparkle in a very deep burgundy. That is some of that rust orange color of the Premier anti-pilling Everyday Worsted, I think, or Medley or something. Some more sparkle yarn in a red. That's a Mary Maxim one. And then we have two tones of purple. The first one is like a denim-y purple coming up a little gray on camera, and that's sparkle again. And then we have two tones of these deep, deep pink burgundy colors. And every time I joined a new color, I did an eyelet row. So just double crochet, chain one, skip one, and the rest is all double crochets. And then when I got to the end, which I'm calling the border, I only did eyelet row, one row of double, eyelet row, one row of double. Most of the rest of the sections have, I think, 4 total rows. With the orangey color, I did an extra row of single crochet because I just had that much yarn left. And then I think when I got to some of the bigger stripes, because it's starting to look smaller, I did an extra row of doubles, but it's ample enough to go around the neck. Doesn't hang down super drapey in front like I usually like them to. So we'll see what happens once it comes out of the dryer, but I'm pretty happy with that. And I have one more thing to show you. I'm going to adjust the camera. All right, so here's the other part of what I accomplished over the weekend. A little bit of stress crocheting. I'm a big baseball fan. My Toronto Blue Jays are in the playoffs right now. So I was working on these. I'm not gonna pull them all out for you, but this is the all-in-one granny square yarn along with an extra row of navy blue. So there's the yarn. I think I got about 3 squares worth left in there. And here's the navy blue extra yarn. And I had initially tried this, a similar tone to this, a similar color to this, like in the family anyway. But it was one of those ones, I really like when shades are kind of denim-y looking, but it can look dirty when you have it against bright colors, and that's what was happening. So I went with a navy blue, and once I'm finished all the squares, I'm going to decide, but I'm thinking it's going to be an infinity scarf for the Shoebox Charities. And our next game is Tuesday, so I will be back at this project on Tuesday. We got summer back for a few days, so I haven't been doing any blanket work, which is disappointing because I do have that self-imposed middle of October deadline. But hopefully it will cool down this week and I'll be able to get working on those 2 blankets. This one's just in a big lump over here right now. I didn't even show you that last time, but I will show it to you this time, and it has had quite a bit of work on it, but it's got about 3 more sections to go and a border, so we will see. Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, October the 8th, and I have been finishing up these squares. So there were 13, as you can see, remaining in that skein of all-in-one granny square yarn. 2 of the squares I had completed sort of outside in the summertime, and then the rest of them I did in the last few days, along with adding navy blue as an extra round to all of them. So now I have to decide exactly what I was going to do. Initially I was thinking of making an infinity scarf or a scarf. I may still just do that, but because there's several squares, I'm going to see if I can make this into 2 charity projects. So we'll have to see what those turn into. And I got a couple of other things, one sec. So an infinity scarf here made with some Caron Simply Soft in the colorway Fuchsia, which is this middle one here. And it's trimmed with some Red Heart Soft. Let me see, do I have that color name? So there's the border. That's the Red Heart Soft in Berry. And the inside is Fuchsia. They're very similar colors. The inside is double stranded. And I just made a nice little infinity scarf. One more thing. And as we all know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I have this beautiful pink V-stitch cowl, and it is double-stranded with Caron Simply Soft in the color Watermelon. So I've been working on that over the last couple of days as well. Hey everyone, it is Thursday, October the 9th, and you saw the squares that were finished, and this is the first project I made. So it's a 5 granny square cowl, and this is the bottom. So it's got an extra round of the granny stitch, and then that little trim I like to do on granny stitch, which is two singles and a double. So it's basically the double in the middle of the set of the 3 double crochets from the grannies. So you end up with 2 singles and a double, and the double kind of pops out for you there. It's really pretty. And then I did like a post stitch top to it to give it some cinching at the top, and I just went down hook sizes. So the whole thing was 6.5, and then 6 and 5.5 for the post stitches there. And that was my get through the first round of the playoffs with my Toronto Blue Jays project. And we did, yay, we're on to the next round. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. So happy with how that little hat turned out. I'm pretty sure I already tucked it away in the box because I don't have it sitting here in front of me. But here is the scarf. And as you can see from how the fabric looks, it still has not gone in the dryer yet. I got a question recently what I mean about quick blocking or relax in the dryer. And all I do whenever the yarn says it's okay is I have hubby stick stuff in the dryer for about 5 minutes on medium heat, not even high heat, with a damp, clean cotton t-shirt. And we get it in there. Like if it's blankets, it's probably more like 7 minutes, but if it's a bunch of little stuff, 5 minutes is probably enough. The idea is to get it warm and a little bit moist, and then it will just relax all the stitches. So you would have to kind of know your appliance and how your appliance works and the settings and stuff to know what's best for your stuff. But as long as the yarn says it's okay to be in the dryer, then we do that. I think I talked enough about this in the clip, so if you have any questions, let me know. Here's another good example. This is the infinity scarf. And if you see it wants to curl just ever so slightly, that's a good view. But that will relax right out when it goes in the dryer. And one of the reasons is because the border is single stranded and the middle is not. So there's not really any way to show you that once I do relax it, because it won't show if I'm wearing it, but I'll see if it'll show in a picture, but just take my word for it, it will relax right out. This one just goes around twice. And that is more of just a standard infinity scarf. I'm sweating already. The weather has changed real fall here. It's not even going to get to double digits today, I don't think. It's rainy and it's supposed to clear up later on so that when trick-or-treaters come around, it should be nice. It should be like cold and windy, but not wet, which is preferred, I think, for kids. Before I forget to mention, here's my Halloween poncho. I made this with the Spook Your Spring Mal with Carrie Penny the first year, I believe. And it's got a black sparkle here in the center, and then I striped it with orange and green and purple and teal. And I usually wear it quite a bit in the fall. And yeah, so I just have it hanging today because it was a little too warm to put it on. And I'm also in my gear for the game later on. It's safer on the wall than it was on the door. I just didn't know if it was going to show. So happily it is showing over there. And it's C2C. So I just made a really big C2C, and then I did like a, what do you call that? Like a shoelace join, in terms of joining it in the front with the, a really long drawstring idea. So that worked well. And I love it. This was also in that first clip, I believe. I hope I'm not mixing up the clips, but you know what? You're going to see it all eventually anyway. Breast cancer awareness. My little tribute. And I talked about it, standard V-stitch cowl, and yeah, double-stranded Caron Simply Soft, big hook. Here are my first two Blue Jay projects. You've seen one of them, which is the cowl. A 5 granny square cowl. So there's 2, 3, and then 4 and 5. You're just gonna have to take my word for it because it's too warm to put it on. But yeah, 5 was a good number. You know what, I will put this one on. I feel like a blocking theme is going to be part of this video, so you can see how it's kind of bunching up and standing a little bit. Once this goes in the dryer and relaxes, it'll all just kind of melt into itself. So that's what it is with 5 squares. You might get away with 4 depending on the size of your squares, or you could choose to make little squares. And if you made little squares, you could put literally as many as you like. I just kind of did my own thing, post stitches at the top. And yeah, I talked about it on the clip. This one you didn't see, so I just took the rest of the squares and made an infinity scarf. So there's 8, so I had a total of 13, and there's 8 in this. And I'm not going to put this one on. I'm just getting really warm, so I'm not going to put this one on. Pretty, right? So now there's 2 like this. I think the other one was in, I forget the name of that other colorway, but we made one earlier this, I guess in the summertime, and it's trimmed in beige. I remember that much. I got a little carried away with the cozy stuff, and I meant to put this clip in next. So let's have a look at the blanket that's already been done. Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, September the 16th, and I am working on another blanket for Project Linus. We're actually going to have a meetup in the middle of October, so I am trying to get all geared up to be able to bring a bunch of blankets over there. And therefore, I want to be able to make them pretty quickly. I started yesterday, and I am using a 12mm hook and double stranding this Caron Simply Soft yarn. So here's my first piece. So you can see how nice and stretchy and loose it is, but it's going to be super warm still because of that. And I made sure I had a width of 50 inches for this. And here's the yarns I'm working with. I have been plotting my colors out. I'll pop up a draft of what it may look like. But I'm gonna go back into my stash and see if I can find any other colors that will play nice with this. I think I'm pretty happy with what I have going right now based on the yarn I have available. But I'm gonna take one more pass and see if there's anything else I can find that might help pull these colors together. And they're looking a little bit different on camera than they really are. These 2 are actually blue, and that's a bright purple. They don't look as similar in person as they do on camera. And the others are pretty good. This is a very deep burgundy, and that's more of a peony pink, and that's a golden yellow color. And then you have this emerald green. So I'm working with what I got because I want to keep these yarns together because they work really nicely together. All Caron Simply Soft, except for this was a gifted yarn from my friend Lori at Lori Hooks, I believe, in one of our swaps. And it will play nice as well. So we will see how I do. This is already 7 inches in what will be the length of the blanket, and it's 50 inches wide by design, so I can have a teen size blanket at the end of this for Project Linus. It's getting to be the end of the month, and this one's probably not going to get much more attention because it got warm again here, so I haven't been really working on full-size blankets. But I also was able to revise this pattern. I have a much better idea of how much of the yarn I need to use to accomplish my size goal. So right here, what you're looking at is about 16 to 17 inches, and considering that 2 repeats. So I have a better idea of what I need, even if I just stick to 8 inches per section. And I'm using this really light mint color as my in-between and then my border. There's some colors I can eliminate and use them more for scarves and hats and things like that. So I'm happy with that. I played a lot with designing my stripes on this throughout the month of September, and this will land squarely in Whipville with a goal of having it finished in middle of October so that I can get it off to Project Linus. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. Hey everyone! So by now you would have seen a couple clips of this blanket when I initially started it in September, and then it got warm, so I stopped working on it, and we're at it again. So this is all Caron Simply Soft or Premier Bobbin, and the in-between color and border color is Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek. And these are all fairly older skeins, some of them gifted to me. When I was originally figuring out my layout, I had double the amount of the green and the blue, and almost double the amount of the soft and sleek in the mint color. So I was trying to come up with a pattern, and I think in the previous clips you saw that I changed my mind a couple of times. What's new about that? But we've got something good going now. So we did green and then the blue, which is a periwinkle-y blue, and then we have this deep, deep teal, and then the purple. And the purple is kind of the middle of the blanket. And so now I'm going to be going to an aqua color and then back to the blue and the green, and then as much of the soft and sleek as I can get in on a border to make sure I get my 50 by 70 inches that I want for this blanket. And we are just doing half doubles and doubles, 2 rows of each alternating with half doubles in the middle. So basically you have 2 half double, 2 half double, 2 half double as you go through the sections, but there's doubles in between in here. So it's a 12mm hook, so it's a really big stitch. It's still warm. It will make a teenager who's being supported by Project Linus very happy. Hello everyone, today is Friday, October the 10th, and the blanket is done. Woo! So there were some pictures of that basket of yarn, and here's what's remaining. So I took out the pinks and the yellow from the beginning, but here's what remaining of the Simply Soft I used along with that soft and sleek, and then those 2 bobbin colors, the dark teal and the aqua. And very little left, as you can see. That was 2 skeins of each of those colors that have balls, the blue, the green, and the soft and sleek mint. And it was 2 bobbins worth of the solid colors. So I have a little bit more of those left to make into something, probably something cozy. And then I have 1 whole one of that, which is kind of nice. And then here's the colors I didn't use. So of the 3 colors I didn't use, the deep color, which is actually called fuchsia, is almost completely gone. The pink, the brighter pink is watermelon, and that is what I have left of that. And I didn't use the yellow yet. So yellow is still outstanding. I may still make something cozy with that, we'll see. And that's originally how I had them, so that I could double strand them, half and half sort of thing. To use for the blanket, which you can tell worked well for the blue and the green. And I have a few more shots of the blanket that you probably will see as we're talking. She worked out really, really well. She's super stretchy because I used a 12mm hook, and it was very big stitches, but it's very cozy. I had it on my lap as I was working on it, so I can attest to the warmth. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. And by doing the double stranded, I was able to get another blanket into the pile for donation, which was great. Here comes a little update on the stash/scrap gan. Hey everyone! It's rare that I can actually record what I'm doing and myself at the same time. So it's the last row of the stashy scrappy blanket. I have one other row in this blanket where I did multicolor, and it was fairly early on. It's after this double white here. So I just finished that last night, using up all the rest of those scraps of burlap pop that were so tiny, and a bunch of other tiny scraps I had. So I'm coming across with this dark purple right now, and when I get to one of the places I tied in my ends, I'm just splitting the ends so that they're going towards the color that they are, so that when I come back and sew them in, that'll help me a little bit. So hopefully you can see that. Let me just pull it up a little closer for you, because I know with the window there you're going to get a lot of backlit light. You can kind of see what I did there with the neon yellow there and that green. Hopefully it's capturing it. I can't really tell, but just watching a little YouTube video, Rel at the Dabbling Hook, and I am using this dark purple as my finishing rounds. I have lots, so right now I'm doing granny stitch one last time without the chains, which will automatically give the blanket a little extra support. And then I'm going to come back around and put 2 singles and a double in each shell. So the singles are on either side, and the middle is a double crochet, but what you actually end up working is single, single, double, single, single, double once you do it the first time. So I like that for a little extra texture going around the outside, and then we're going to call it there. I did take one final measurement, and I know I'm at my 50 by 70 threshold that I need before even sticking it in the dryers. So getting very close to the finish line on this one, and that's good because I'm going to be delivering it on Tuesday. Hey everyone, Future Shell here, popping on with a little clip of the final stash / scrap blanket for Project Linus that was delivered on Tuesday, October the 14th. And as you can see, it is a granny stitch blanket that I actually started with mini granny squares in the center. If I do that again, I will start with about 5 for this size blanket, just because it was working up a little too wide. So I did some things to correct that, as we talked about in previous videos. This is fun, it is bright and cheerful, and will go to a teen that really deserves a leg up, and I'm happy to do that. And you'll see another close-up shot here as we come to the end of the clip, and it was a fun project for me. So we will head back to the video, back to our regularly scheduled programming. So on Tuesday, October the 14th, I got together with the Peel Region Project Linus group, and it was our first meetup, and it was great to see everybody there. I think there was almost 30 people there, and I think she collected another 50 blankets just at that gathering. So we're gonna have a few more of those, probably anywhere between 2 and 4 a year. But it's great to you know, hear what other people are up to, their background, why they're supporting Project Linus. So that was amazing. I like having a skein of that granny square yarn around, so when I don't know what to make, I can just make some more squares until it's all used up. So I did bring the one from Crochet in. Speaking of which, let's have a look. Hey everyone, Crochet. It's Thanksgiving weekend, and we went on a little adventure. So we're out on the road right now, and hubby's just wandering around, and I haven't pulled my bag out in so long, I decided to pull it out. I took a picture, I think I was at my mom's, and the number of squares I have done in this color is 6. So I just pulled out some yarn, and we'll see how far I get. What else do I have in here? I just have a couple of scrap balls of cotton as well. So I'm going to start a new granny square. Here comes hubby. He probably has a question for me. So I have the camera propped up, but it's the best I can do in the situation I'm in. So I think you guys know I'm a big Toronto Blue Jays fan, like big. I watch all the games, I watch spring training, and we are in the playoffs, and it is fun. It is stressful, but it is fun. And also just, the team has done such a really good job this year. They were not doing great at the beginning of the season, and they just really pulled together, and they are playing a lot of really good baseball. So the next round starts tomorrow, and we go from there. So by the time you see this video, we'll kind of probably know the outcome of it all. But today is only, I think today is the 11th of October. So, good news about blankets. The one that, I guess I would probably do it in this order. So I'll say the one you've already seen. I finished that yesterday, and, it was a good project. I really like how it feels and the drape of it and all of that. It's very warm. I just don't think it's the best strategy for kids blankets because it's a very open, and the stitches are big. So like, not only is there openness to the way they look, but the stitches are big. So because it's held double, they tend to be a bit loose. And so one strand can come apart from the other strand, and you get like, not total worming like you would with velvet yarn, but you get little strands pulling off of themselves. So it's unfortunate because I'm also right now, the project I brought with us is the scrap can, which, happy to report on that one too, is already measuring plenty big enough in width. I'm gonna scooch up, but it is not quite there on length yet. So I'm over my 50 inches in width, and I'm about 66 inches in length. And the current stripe that I'm on, first round, look at that, perfect. I just have that much to do my half double to turn. Yeah, 66 in length, and I'm on green right now, and green is getting 3 rows, and I just started the 3rd row. So the rows are getting pretty long now because it's like all the way around the outside of a rectangular blanket. I'm gonna have the 2 Bernat pop blankets to bring with me next week to the Project Linus meetup. They're doing meetups now. Like, if anyone's close by me, like, I had no idea that the lady I met up with in the summertime was close by me. So if anyone's listening that's close by me that's interested in Project Linus, Peel region specifically, they're having a meetup this week, and I'm sure she'll do them maybe once a quarter or twice a year or something like that. It won't be a lot of times, but it's a convenient way to also drop off the blankets and not have to make other arrangements for it. So that's going to be nice, but it'll just be nice to meet other people that are involved in this chapter of Project Linus. So if you ever want to reach out for any information, you can ask me. And also the link to the charity itself is always in the description box of this video, these videos. So I have 2 Bernat pop blankets going, and then I have the one that I just finished that's all Simply Soft, or those bobbins, those Premier bobbins. So very like that soft style yarn. And then the Yarn Bee Soft was in that too. And I have the scrap can, which is just all regular worsted for acrylic scraps. And hopefully, oh, I have a baby blanket that's in Sweet Rolls that I think what I had done was, originally they were taking preemie blankets, and then they decided they didn't want, the hospitals didn't want preemie blankets to be made of yarn. So they basically want them to be sewn, and that's fine. So I just increased the size of the preemie blanket I had previously made so that it would hit child size so they could donate it, or baby size, I guess, so they could donate it somewhere else. I have a granny square project that I've been using during my Blue Jay games because I wanted to work on something blue for fun. And I have some clips of that'll come up, but one of the things is already put together. And this is what made me think of it, because it's it's the frigid colorway of the all-in-one granny square yarn. And then I have made some cozy sets already. Not sets, I keep saying sets. I have made a few cozy things as well. The yarns I did not incorporate into the Care & Simply Soft blanket. I've been making either cowls or hats with them, or scarves, those types of things. So we will go from there. How did I do on this round? Pretty good again. So I'm able to, you can see it's changing to green. So want to see? So we are doing a half double into the corner, which, because now I'm holding my arms up, won't work. There we go. And then pull it through, and then chain 1, flip, and I go back the other way. I just do a stacked double here on the side. And so that is 2 rounds of this first granny square I'm working on that have hit their color change in the exact spot while I'm talking to you. Maybe that's the key. I think that for me personally, I like the tension check, that I know that I have to have my tension the same for these projects in order for them to work out, because that way my tension will be more similar in my other crochet projects. And I'm also just willing to put up with the fact that I know that some of them, each color can be a little bit different with how well it lines up. And if you work on a whole bunch of these granny squares at the same time, after you've made 2 or 3, you start to figure out, oh, I should loosen up a little bit on this one, or I should tighten up a little bit on this round. Okay, I have to go. Hubby called me while I was in the middle of talking, and he doesn't usually do that. Usually he'll text me. So I had to make sure everything was okay. It was. He went to get me ice cream. I said, oh, it would be nice to have ice cream or something, but they probably won't have it because it's October. He found some. We're just right at the lake in Midland, Ontario, so it's really pretty here. Anyway, I know I was saying something about not minding these. You can see me so much better now. I don't know what I did with the camera to make that happen. Here, I just got a little bit of a yarn snag. But anyway, I am embracing, I guess you can just say. I mean, I know that people want it to work out perfect every time, but this is a huge lesson on why every pattern has a gauge, especially every wearable pattern has a gauge swatch, because, you know, there's pretty much no 2 crocheters that are alike. We can come pretty close to each other, but everybody's going to hold the yarn a little different and the hook a little different and pull on things a little different, and that's fine. But that just means that everything will be different. So we got to put up with that, I guess. And I just appreciate the learning, and I know I've told you that before, that having to make these squares work out has done for me. Okay, I will let you go, and I guess I might as well put my Blue Jay projects in next, because we were just talking about what I made with that yarn. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. I did bring all the squares in from the car from Car Crochet, so that skein is living in the house now, which is great, because then I can just grab it, leave it on my cart for whenever I just don't know what I feel like making, make a few more squares until it's all used up. And I know with a full skein is 15 squares, so, you know, I could do multiple things with that if I continue to do it that way. I have quite a few in that colorway that I was using for the car, so I don't know, I might do something different. We'll see. The other thing I made on the way home in the car is just a little dishcloth. I was doing my newest favorite texture stitch, which is just a single and a double in the same stitch and skip 1. And yeah, so this is a little scrap of Bernat Handicrafter Stripey, which I don't even know if they're making anymore in Canada. So that's great. That's a little. And what I put in my Car Crochet bag, I knew there was one more thing. I put what was behind me last time, which is that all-in-one quilt motif, into the Car Crochet bag. So I have no like pressure to use that up at any particular time. So that's a great project to have in there. I did put this finished square in there for now, just to get it started, because I have to modify my hook and pattern a little bit. I want to make sure it still looks like it goes. But after that, I can just start storing the squares somewhere else, but I can keep that skein in my bag. It's a great type of yarn to have in a like go bag, because you don't need anything else. You just need the right hook, the skein of yarn, and until you have it all finished, you don't need anything else. So the next clip is about using up a magic ball. Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, November the 16th, and I am starting a new project. I dug out this magic cake that I had made probably at the end of last year, and it inspired me to start a new blanket project. I'm just going to show you what I've got so far. So this is the yarn that's come out of the cake so far, and I thought those colors are really going well together. These are all scraps, so I don't have any more of this color. It's called Celestial Blue. I had a lot of it. This is a scrap from one of the all-in-one grannies, because I can see a little bits of orange in it. This is a monster ball, so I have lots. This is also a monster ball. I have lots, and I have a decent amount of the dark purple. So because I had just been working with a whole bunch of stash and scrap yarns for the last blanket, I had a lot of them set aside already, and this is what I have pulled as some inspiration. So I'm probably going to stop this at the purple and then start working some of these in. And I will probably also make another one of these, just so that I know I have these yarns for the very end of the blanket. I like mimicking my final corner with my starting corner in these larger corner to corner blankets. And then some of these will just get larger stripes and some will get smaller stripes, like depending on where I use that, it might not go very far. and it will only be in the blanket once. But I'm liking that I'll get to use some of these smaller scraps and larger scraps. Like I have a lot of that Endless Impeccable, a lot of that light, and a lot of the green. I also have some cream that I can pull in, so I don't have that out with me right now, but it will mimic this yarn here, and I can take the yarn off the outside of that. And then what I'll do is I'll rewind my actual scraps into a new magic cake at the very end of the project. So I just dropped off 4 teen-size blankets and 1 baby blanket to Project Linus on Tuesday, and I'm starting a new blanket. Hey everyone, today is Saturday, October the 18th, and I'm just doing a little update on my corner to corner. So I decided to use this as inspiration only for my colors. So I'm going to make this into either a scrappy cowl or scarf, maybe a cowl this time because I've done a couple of C2C scarves already. Because I basically have a lot of several of these colors and enough of a couple others. I just used it as inspiration instead because, as you can see for this one, the rows are not all ending evenly, and I have enough yarn that I can do that for the blanket. So inspiration only, and here we go. This is what's going to be a teen size blanket for Project Linus, and the colors that I have monster balls in are the eucalyptus green, this sand color here, and this lilac. I have 1 pound, this is a Caron 1 pound in this cream color. I have navy, these were Ogos originally. I've used them for a couple other projects, and I also have a comfort if I needed a whole new comfort. It'd be a slightly different navy, but nothing that'll show, and a limited amount of this pumpkin orange and this deep purple, but still around 200 grams, so a fairly large skein. I always like to make my blankets finish and start the same way. So here's my beginning, and this will be my ending. So obviously I'm not going to take the ends and do them at all on this because I can either take this apart or sew it on. I'll make my decision about that when it's closer to the time of doing it, but I probably will end up just frogging it and crocheting it into the blanket. But I know I have enough of those yarns for the top corner to be the same as the bottom corner. And now I can just play around. So I'm not necessarily going to follow the exact striping pattern or the exact order, but I'm going to use as much of these 3 as I possibly can. So I've already gone up from 4 rows to 6 rows with those 2 there. And the orange, I may only do 1 stripe every time because it probably is the least I have. And we will go from there. So this ottoman is, I think, about 20 inches. So I'm probably at about 23 inches right now. And I need to get to 50 before I can start going to my rectangular shape for this blanket. And we will go back to our regularly scheduled programming. Morning, everyone. Today is October the 21st, and just celebrating the Blue Jays winning the championship, the American League Championship Series last night. And we're moving on to the World Series and this project. So let's have a look. And so I think we're doing a scarf. I thought I was only going to do as far as a cowl, but I had sewn in my ends all the way to the pink. And then last night during the game, accomplished all this again. So now we have several more ends to deal with, but that's okay because I have all this yarn to get through, and we will have a scrappy C2C. I think if it's not long enough for a full scarf, because it is quite wide, because I was going to do a cowl, I might just make it an infinity scarf and it won't have to be quite as long, so I can sew it up at the end. But we are working our way through all that. And we have a finished scarf. So this is my final update on this scarf, and I'm just going to pull it through so you can see all the colors. That was the very beginning. And we go to this section, and we go to this section, and we go to this section, and the final section. And let me get her situated. Pretty much best we can do for everything on the screen all at once. And I think she looks really cool. So this is the beginning, this is the ending, they're similar. So this is scraps and stash. The only color I specifically opened for this was a gray Ogo, which is the last one I have of that yarn. And then there's quite a bit of the yarn that I'm going to be using for the corner to corner blanket in here too. You can see the beige there at the top, or the sand color at the top. And I was successful at using up a few scraps as well. So like this color here, I never will have any more in my life. The red I'll never have any more. So there's a few in there like that. The spring green I'm all out of. Anyway, it's not what I intended it to be, but it's another scarf for Shoebox Charities. I think I have one more hat to finish, and then that will be a wrap on Shoebox Charity for 2025. And yeah, so instead of making a cowl, we went all full scarf. And it's quite wide, this one. It's 16 blocks. So this one's a little bit wider than the last one and probably a little bit shorter, but you'll see on the video that it will work fine as a scarf. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. So here she is. And I'll just let you see all the stripes. I really love working with color, which is probably no secret at this point. And it's just fun for me to see the opportunities with the yarns that are sitting in front of me to put them all together. So this one is wider than that one I made with the Burnett Pop. So I'm gonna not drape it down as far on me. It's coming to like my waist. And then my first time trying this. It is very wide at the back, so that's good, I guess. Very cozy. I don't think it's gonna have much of a problem. Yeah, it's super cozy. So yeah, once relaxed, it's gonna be pretty good in terms of draping, like just under the waist. I've had to adjust the camera a couple times. The camera just told me that my storage was full, which I have a really hard time believing. So I quickly deleted a couple of things and probably had like 30 gigs of storage. So not sure what that was about. But anyway, tech talk. Very happy with that. And you got a good look of it on the clip as well. Oh yeah, and the blanket. So I'm really happy to be getting into those monster balls because I've had them a while. And happy with the way the colors are coming together, and I think I've done 2. I'm halfway through the second section of 6 since what you saw. So about another 8 rows went in, I think, and they're starting to get pretty long. I think I'm measuring at about 40 inches wide right now, and I need to get to 50, 51 to be comfortable. And then I can start doing rectangular until it's 70 and then close it off. Because of the color striping on this one, I don't want to put an ample border. I just want to put a kind of a subtle border, and I'll choose from one of the monster balls. So it will probably be either green or not the lilac. What's the other one? Oh, beige. It'll probably be that sandy color because it's so neutral. They do like really bright colors for kids, and I think this blanket will still accomplish that, but also use up yarn that I want out of my stash. So yay. That'll be just a work on it when I feel like it couch project, so I can just crochet on that whenever I feel like it. I might even do some tonight. Speaking of tonight, I'm gonna pop a picture up here. And I decorated for fall initially and then Halloween around my Blue Jay stuff. So I have a few things that I've been gifted over the years, some mugs, some like mason jar glasses with the handles on them. I have a pillow, I have a little Blue Jay bear, and then I have a few things hubby has made. So I thought I'd just pop up a couple pictures so you can kind of see. It's almost like a Where's Waldo of Blue Jay stuff. There's some coasters in there, and everything kind of hides in and amongst the Halloween decor. And I filled up the larger glass cups with little pumpkins. So Halloween meets Blue Jays in the playoffs in 2025. And then the other little, I pulled a scrap of this purple that I had. Look at how well that one hair tie matches. Like, I like to match my hair ties, but this one's like spot on. I started this when we were all sitting in a group there with the Project Linus meetup. So I just finished it at home, and that's my last headband for Shoebox for this year. We're getting really close to the end. There's one more clip. I finished this a couple days ago. This is my first Christmas present completed. And this one is going to be the second. So I used that hook there. It's an 8mm, and I used a modified V-stitch. I'm pretty sure I learned it from something Jayda did back in the day. But it's just 2 double crochets, chain 2 double crochets. But I modified it a little further. So up here is sort of like a foundation single crochet row to start. And then coming out of that, I did 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. And then on the very next round, I went to 2 chains in between. And then I did a whole bunch of rows. And then down here somewhere, maybe for the last sort of section here, I did 3 chains just to give it that slight little extra bit of comfort and stretchability in the bottom. And then just the very, very bottom edge is open here so that when it hits the shoulders. Now I would choose to put that slit here on the shoulder, but you could put it at the back and it'll work just as well, just to give that extra breathability coming down when it hits the shoulders. And then I did come back up to the top and do some post stitches. And here I used 3 different hook sizes, I guess. So 7, 6.5, and 6, just to pull the post stitches in and make them not too loosey-goosey. And that is a cowl for my stepmother. Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, October the 29th, and we have another finished cowl. And this one's for my dad. So I wanted to keep it fairly straightforward and not as sort of lacy as the one I made my stepmom. So this one is just the pattern. I've done this pattern before. So I still did the single crochet foundation stitch to begin, and I still came back up to the top and pulled it in a little, but I did that just by taking a few stitches out using single crochet. And I think I only switched from a 7 to a 6.5 up there. And the bulk of the build went single, half double, double, half double, single. So just what I like to call this is up and down. So single, half double, double, half double, single, half double, double, half double. So there's always half double in between. And it's just, it gives it a little bit of texture. I'll zoom you in a little. And this is still nice and open because I used that 7mm hook with the Premier anti-pilling, but the Everyday Medley, I think it was called. That one's long discontinued. We still have a slight opening here on the side. And yeah, neck warmer for my dad. It's my second Christmas present done. And I don't really have, well, I have one more planned, which will be next month. Back to regularly scheduled programming. It is true that when you're working with regular acrylic, Red Heart Super Saver, Michael's brand, or any of the basic brands, you know what I'm getting at, right? Once you touch like Premier anti-pilling of any kind, it's so much softer. But anyway, this one's for my stepmom, and this one's for my dad. And even this, just putting it in the dryer for a couple minutes will just relax it slightly so that it doesn't want to just crinkle like that or hold whatever touched it last shape. It'll just be so soft and like drapey. That's the word I was looking for. Even in this style of a thing, it'll be more drapey. So that'll be nice. And hopefully they'll get a kick out of these. I'll have to maybe explain a little bit of how to wear them, but it's nice to be hands-free and a little bit cozy. They're not super warm. They're just single-stranded. So they're good for like even keeping in the car, because that way if you decide you need something, it's just there for you. Oh, and speaking of which, we do Autumn Miss with my dad. So we're actually celebrating Christmas with my dad next weekend. So a week from Saturday. And I have a whole bunch of stuff to get ready for that next week. So things have been kind of busy. I've already done quite a bit of organizing with that. And looking forward to packaging it all up and taking it up there and doing a nice visit. We do it that way so that we don't have to have any stress about weather. And it works out for all of us really, really well. My last finished object of October is this hat. So it's one of my typical spiral beanies. Oh, I found an end. I have to sew the end in the center. So I start with a magic ring, and I do single crochets into the magic ring, and then the second round half doubles, and then I go straight into doubles so that there's no seam, and then I come all the way down, and when I decide it's long enough, I work back down. Most commonly I will go like 3 extended half doubles, 3 half doubles, 3 singles, slip stitch to join, and then I'll start another round of double crochets where there is a seam so I can do my post stitches. And because I don't want the post stitches to spiral, right? I want them to be a brim. This one I can actually put on. Are you ready? Presto, changeo. Here she is. This is how I like to wear my hats. So I rarely get to put them on for you. They're also rarely big enough for me. This one turned out that way. So I like it a little slouchy at the back like that. And I put it on at the back of my head over my ears. And that way, because I have bangs, it doesn't affect my bangs. And for the most part, I can just have my hair the way it already was. Now, I can't see myself very well in the camera, so you'll have to judge if it actually looks good or not. Let me take it off because it is warm. So this is held double with Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo in a variegated color that I've used before for a couple of projects, and I didn't finish it. I thought I was going to, with the rest of a Caron Colorama Halo that was called Silver and Gold. So this is the silver part, and I do love holding double with those soft fluffy yarns and regular acrylic, but I find that the lattes are softer than the Caron Colorama Halo just for these, how they feel to me. You can still see all the fuzz. There's lots of nice fuzz for that, which looks really cool, and also helps as the thing ages because it won't look as pilly. Oh, and that's gonna be my last hat for Shoebox Charity as well. I told the lady I would try and drop stuff off by the end of October. That's not gonna happen, but I am gonna drop things off within the next week or two. I'm gonna do one final count. I had spent some time organizing it early in October, so I just got to go back and refresh myself, update my counts for the things. That's more for me than them because they don't care what I'm making. They have room for it all, as she's put in the past, but it will be easier to spread it around by not having sets, which is great. So November, I have a fairly large Christmas present to make, probably 2-week type project. It's just a little red throw. I don't think my mom watches these anymore unless I tell her to, so I think it's safe to share that it's for my mom. She has a corner to corner red shawl, and she had it displayed at her front entryway last year, and she said she didn't have anything red to put there, so I thought I'd fix that. And I'm gonna use, see the red above me here? I had 2 versions of that red. That's just Tencel soft worsted, and the other one was called Baby. Still Tencel yarn, and they're both rather old. They've been around for a while. They're nice and soft. They're like a Caron Simply Soft, but maybe a little looser plied. And I'm going to use that hopefully up to make this throw. So I think I have about 6 or so of them, and it'll be plenty big enough. It's not a very big area that she wants to keep this on, so that'll be easy and probably something that gets on the hook fairly soon. And I also want to make some more of my little emotional support friends that you see behind me. When we were at my dad's last year, I threw a whole bunch of them in a bag, and then I just let people stick their hand in and see what they came out with. So I would like to make some different things because they already know about the monsters and the chickens and the frogs and stuff. So I'm going to try to make a few little Amis next week so that I can bring them up there with me, and people will be able to come out with a little bit of a surprise. So that's a wrap on October. I hope you guys are all doing well. Please feel free to connect with me in the comments. I love discussing crochet with you and hearing from you. Let me know what you've been making, and we will talk in November. Have a great day and happy crochet. Bye everybody.